Hey guys, I told you I'd come back with some information about the different dimensions, so that's why I'm here today. I'm here to talk to you about the first dimension. I call it the first dimension because it's the lowest one, and it's corresponding with Earth, you know, our physical life. It kind of intervenes with us, but it also rises near, I would say, treetop level, but it can go higher. It can go, I would say, atmospheric level. That would be the first dimension that I'm talking about. And when you travel, you see this dimension, obviously, because you're going to go right out your living room. You could see this dimension in your house. When your soul awakes and leaves the body, you're going to see this other world because you're in soul form. So this world is the lowest level I've ever seen. And it's almost to me like hell, honestly. And I hate to say that because like hell could probably be much worse, you know, and I assume it is. So I'm just assuming I haven't seen the worst, okay? Thank God for that, right? But what I have seen is this world, the lowest level, first dimension I call treetop level. Now if you read about it, I don't know what level it is. You know, they say there's 7 dimensions. I don't know what level they're going to say this one is. But in my opinion, and what I know it to be, is the first level because it's close to us, okay? So at this level, you're going to see a lot of ghosts, okay? People that's died, and even loved ones that's died sometimes get stuck here. And so the reason why they get stuck in this dimension is because they're not, their mind and soul is not where it needs to be. So I feel like in this dimension, once you pass and you're in this dimension for a while, you still can grow. You know, it's just like living here. We still can grow. You know, when I was 18, I was a lot different than I am now at 34. And so I've had the ability to grow. And so you do, I feel, in my opinion, you do have the ability, and actually I know you do, you can grow out there even. And then you could rise yourself to higher levels. I feel like maybe that's why in the Bible they say our God's a forgiving God, because he is, you know, he don't do us away. You know, he knows that life's a struggle, and sometimes we just don't get it. And yeah, it's disappointing to him, but he's still teaching. He's always teaching, you know. So at this dimension, you have lost souls, but you also have many demons, okay? And so I feel like it's the devil, obviously, playing tricks and putting these demon-like things here. These demons aren't going to be at a higher level, so where else are they going to go? Because they can't get too high. They're not pure. So they're going to be at this level too. And so I feel like this world, since it ran parallel with our world, that it also affects us, you know. What you guys can't see doesn't mean it isn't there. And that energy is what's affected. It can drain you. It could bring negativity. It can bring thoughts that shouldn't be there, you know. And so this just plays on you. And if you are not physically on this earth, in this form here, if you're not able to rise above the drama and stuff I keep talking about, the anger, the madness, the hurt, everybody gets hurt, you know. Life is hard. And there's a lot of people that's been through way more than I could ever be through, you know, but I've been through a little. Actually a lot in my opinion, but I know it could be worse. But the point is I know, you know, I know how it is. I know what you got to go through. And I feel like this is all lesson, you know? It's just like you have to learn, even though it's hard and the times feel really bad and things are going crazy and you can't think straight and you're just miserable, or you cry, or you know, those are all lessons in life. You know, you have to experience those feelings to rise above them. And so people that are in a negative situation, you know, I have a lot of friends who have kind of gotten lost into drugs and things. And what I've seen in their homes, you know, when I go over, I still see them, you know. I'm not going to judge a person by their actions. I love my friends, you know. I don't go over there as much, no, but I'm trying to make a point here. When I do go, I feel the heaviness around them, you know, and they could be good people, you know. It's not that they're robbing or killing anyone. Maybe they're just taking a lot of pills or whatever it is. That heaviness, that comes from the fact that they are substance abuse. You know, that it's basically what I'm saying is the association they have with themselves. You know, a lot of other drug addicts, there's crime around them. Not saying that they're committing the crimes, but there's just bad. It's always bad, you know? And so this house and their homes are heavy. And I sense that as soon as I walk in. It's hard for me to go because I know that it's heavy. Demons and, you know, really bad things. And this feeds on them. So this dimension, these demons, they want to get into the human. They want to be, they want to inflict bad upon human life. And that's their job. They think it's funny. And they want to convert you, in my opinion, to that side. They want to keep you dark. And so they will just, their negative presence is really affecting you mentally and emotionally, even though you don't know it. So getting out of that, getting better, is very difficult, okay? That's why I always mention haunted houses. You know, there could be something that happened in a house that you don't know about. And then after you move in it, it's like, you know, I feel heavy, or I just don't feel right, or I'm emotional, and you don't know what's wrong. Well, those are the emotions and the feelings that the other side, the afterlife that is possessing this home, is putting onto you. And it's a very real thing, okay? So when I talk about our life here now and their life now on the other side, they definitely have an effect on us. Definitely. Okay? So when you go out there, when you're in the first dimension, you're going to see both good, well, you'll see, I haven't seen good out there. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't really seen good out there. The fun part about being in that dimension is that you can travel fast. You can see your flight, so you're not always, you know, in the higher levels, I'll be thinking something and boom, I'm there. And in this level, you will too. But most of the time, I can kind of see my flight. It's almost like a, you know, slower vibration. Like here we are real slow. We got first dimension, it's faster, but it's still kind of lagging somewhere. And when you get higher, you're really fast. So I sometimes enjoy that flight feeling. You know, if I go outside, when I go out of body, nothing changes. The house still looks the same. You know, I'm still here. Once I get outside, most of the time at treetop level, things are how we see it now. But anything higher or anything further, like if I travel far, things get confusing. I don't know if it's real or not. It's almost like, I've never took acid, okay? But my friends have told me so many stories about these acid trips. Well, I really believe they might be crossing that realm and their minds opening up. And I would never tell you to do that, because no. And thankfully I've not got into drugs like that, because like I know what that side is and I want to be controlled. You know, I want to control myself. So the deal is this world, it's got a lot of imagination. So say I think something, I see it, okay? Say I go out with fear, I'm scared. It's almost like all these demons or bad entities sense my fear and they just cling to that and they make it worse. You know, they're scaring me, or I've had them prob on my body while I'm sleeping. You know, I'll be sleeping and paralyzed or whatever in a position before I go out, and I'll have them pinching me. You know, I'll have weird things happen. Like I told you guys before, my grandma, I had asked for her. This is before I ever got to higher levels. I thought this is all there was. And so you can only imagine how scared I was of death. And fear never went away when you're scared of death. And I seen death all the time. And so this lower level was really playing on me growing up. And it took until late adulthood, or whatever, late 20s, to even realize that there's something better. And that the only reason why I'm stuck on this level is because of my mind and where I was. And the people I was around. You know, that makes a big difference. So you always have to rise above that. You want to bring in positivity, prayer, anything, you know, anything that makes you happy. If you feel good, that's where you need to be. Because this negative crying and sadness stuff is just not good. I promise you. It will keep you at a lower level. And when you die, you're going to be stuck here. So people that kill themselves, they get stuck here, you know. People that die too soon. I had an aunt that got murdered. she had unfinished business, and that's so seriously true. When you say ghosts have unfinished business, she did. And it wasn't that she had something she needed to do. She was emotionally attached to her child. When you're emotionally attached and the love she had for her child, she was a great person, okay? But she got killed. And so now what? Now all of a sudden, she's not ready. She's mad and angry, pissed off. So say she had a perfect life and wasn't mad when she, before she died, but then she died and now she's pissed. Now, what does she do? So she's stuck on this level, and now she's just even getting more hell because of all these demons that are around her. And it takes a long time for a soul to let go. You have to mentally be ready within yourself. And for her, it took years, over 10 years for her to leave and go to a higher dimension. So when I tell you, I think that God lets you learn, I know he does. I'm not saying demons could ever go higher, because I'm not. Some of them are not even human-like. But I am telling you that souls have potential to learn. And it's not about reading a textbook or following a commandment. It's about being. You have to be. And you have to let go and understand, when you trust in the higher God and your power and your love of God, you will rise because you're all with one. And up there, you don't have sorrow and you don't have sadness. You don't care who you are. You're just happy you're there, and I promise you that happens. And so there's a lot of times when I know people will lose loved ones and they'll say, can you call on my son or my brother? He passed away and I would just like to tell him I love him and see what he has to say. Okay, well, a lot of the times, mediums will have to distinguish, and that's why I don't dabble. Like I've repeatedly told you guys, I don't dabble, because you don't know what you're going to get. I could go to a medium, which I obviously don't need to, but if I did and had somebody read me, okay, and I say I want to ask for my grandma could come. She could think she's talking to my grandma, but it might not be my grandma. It could be a demon or a bad entity. They know thought. Demons know thoughts. Ghosts know thoughts. That's how they communicate. They hear your thoughts. So it's not much for a ghost to pretend, like, oh yeah, well, it's not hard. So it's important to know that you're getting the right messages from psychics and mediums. And I'm not telling you all mediums are like that. A lot of mediums, they're going to be able to distinguish. Like, I definitely could know at this point, but I've had a lot of experience, and I'm just saying, I don't call on my family. I go to them, and I very seldomly do that. But I know that, say if I died and I'm way up in heaven, okay? My son calls me and wants to see a medium and calls me, and this medium contacts me somehow. Do I want to leave my heavenly bliss to come down here? No. And I love my children. Anyone that knows me knows that I love my children. But in heaven, you know that your children's going to be with you. You have trust in God, and you're in communication with God every day, so you're going to be able to, God, please lay your hands on my children and protect them and make them happy. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't come down at Christmas time or something, or, I'm telling you that you don't want to disturb the peace of your loved ones, is what I'm telling you. Because even if I was to be reached in heaven, and I'm not going to tell you I wouldn't come down here, because if my son's reaching out to me, he probably needs something, But would I want them to do that? No. I would want them to leave me at peaceful state of mind, because coming down here could leave me down here. Just that. Just coming down here from my peace, which if you're right with God, you won't be stuck. You know that you're going to go home. But I'm telling you, say I come down here from my peaceful place and I deal with demons all the way down and fighting all these ghosts and horrible things I see, and then I find my son sad and he's crying and something's going on in his life. That changes my emotional state, okay? It does. We're the same. Who we are talking now is our soul, okay? It's not flesh. The things that come out of your mouth, your actions and words, everything you feel is your soul. It's not your flesh feeling this. I would feel sad, for him. I would feel grief, and I would feel sadness. I would probably ask Jesus, why is this happening to my son? would I be able to go home? I'm not sure. Would I be able to go back to heaven after that? I don't know if my mind would let me at that point, because at this point I done forgot God. Not forgot him, but I distrusted him. Because by me saying, why is my son going through this? That's asking the question, there's a doubt. There's a doubt there. You can't have doubts. No doubts. And for the fact that you feel any sadness about your son crying shows that you can cry out there. God cries, okay? But you can't act on those. You can't let those emotions hold you here. So, my response would need to be, and I'm not saying it would be, because I'm not perfect, okay? Like, I want to be better, and that's why I'm going through these videos with you guys and, growing myself talking about it. But yes, I know God's there, and yes, I love him with all my heart, and he protects me. But he needs to know he could trust me, and he needs to know that I have full trust in him. And so coming back, to come back to heaven after I've been called down here would only happen if I had full trust in God, if I didn't question him. Well, God, this is probably an experience that my son's going through. And this experience is probably teaching him a lesson that he needs to know, And whatever it is that you're putting through him right now, I'm sorry that he's hurting, but please lay your hand on him, And in the end, I know that it's okay, and it's for the better, because he's going to learn. And so that is the difference in what I'm telling you. So many people, such as myself, I'm getting closer to that. And I mean, I've changed so much, but not always am I there, I don't ever get angry with God, but I don't understand things, and it's not my job to ask him why, it's my job to trust him. And that's very hard sometimes. And so this lower dimension will have souls that cannot fully trust God. That there's souls here that just don't understand, that are absorbing their emotions to the point where this is all they know, and at this point sometimes they get so upset that they don't even know if there is a God. And I think that that's challenging for God above. And he wants us to live, okay? We're here to learn, and it's nothing more but a learning lesson. This is not our eternal life. So when we die too young, or whatever the deal is, we do get chances, we get chances to figure it out. And so the lower dimension will make it harder for you to figure out. The job is to do it now, because if you do it then, you're living in an illusionary, imaginative state, and it's not fun. And like I said, it's like an acid trip from what I've heard, It's like whatever you see out there, whatever you think you're going to see. Whatever you think you're going to see. So if you go out there with fear, in the back of your mind you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy, I'm going to see the devil, or I'm going to see a demon, or you're going to see it, okay? Because you're pretty much calling it to you. They communicate by thought. Your fear, you thinking you're going to see it, they're going to say, hey, let me show you. I'm right here. And that is the problem with this first dimension. It's full of tricks, illusions, evil. It's full of the devil trying to keep you on this lower level. They want you to stay with them. And we can't, you guys. And like I said, I don't try to push God, okay? I don't. But I know he's there. And I think that talking about this and when I talk, I'm telling you my experiences from a lower level. I'm human, so I call myself a Christian, yes, and I am. But I'm a different form of a Christian. I'm true and pure. And I understand that I make mistakes all the time. And I still learn. And I still do things that I should not do, that I'm sure I will be punished for. And the fact that I can tell you that I do things that are not completely right with God and still do them is just going to get me judged more. Because I know better, And so, does that make me a bad person? No. Not at all. I see God. I can get high. I can get really high up there. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm not to where I'm needing to be yet. And like I said, that's okay. Because we're here to learn. And God knows that. And He already knows you. And He just knows, okay? So He's going to forgive you. And He understands, since He came in human form, He knows what you all have been through. He knows how hard temptation is. He knows what the devil's doing. He knows all of this. The reason why I feel like he lets this happen, you know, a lot of the times I used to question, God, why? Why? Because I was raised in a haunted house, very extremely haunted. So haunted that my deceased relative couldn't enter the home unless I let her in, because this demon was possessing this home that I was living in. Okay, and that might be where my gift came from. You know, I don't know. It could be from the level of activity in this home was affecting my soul in my vulnerable state as a child. You know, that's possible, but regardless, I consider it a gift at this point, because I've grown so much from it, and I've learned through experience of living both lives that I am who controls my life, no one else. You know, I have all the power. God has gave me all the power to make my own decisions of where I'm going to be, and that's an awesome God. You know, it's an awesome God. And what's great is he's letting you learn. You know, if he was to take away the devil and all this bad stuff, if he was to take it away, does that mean that you, his children, would be good? No. There's going to be bad, okay? You're going to be influenced by bad, period. So it doesn't matter. People are still going to commit crimes, do bad things, and be bad to people. So does God want to let those people into heaven? No, he can't. And it's not that he don't love you guys or whoever or whatever, you know. I don't want to say you guys like my audience or something, but I'm just trying to tell you, he loves everyone, but he has to trust you. And so he has to make sure that you are worthy. And he will test you, and he will... I'm tested all the time. Out there, I remember... It was a scenario situation. I almost thought I was in a lucid dream state, because I was somewhere, and I couldn't tell you where. It was higher than the first dimension I'm telling you about. It was higher than that. But I remember a kid, well, it was like an early, maybe 17-year-old, 16-year-old. He was walking with his backpack, and like I said, it was almost like a lucid dream. Like, I knew I was dreaming, but I didn't think I was out of body, and I could kind of control my dreams. It was one of those things you remember, you know, and I just remember his backpack fell. He dropped his backpack, and his books went everywhere. So I picked his backpack up, and I was like, here you go. And he disappeared, and I was like, oh, I'm out of body, you know. All of a sudden, I realized when that man disappeared like that, I knew I was out of body. And I'm like looking around, and then God. That was a lesson. I seen an image of God. That tells me right there, that was a lesson. As simple as that. As simple as that. That was a lesson. Or it was a, not a lesson, should I say. It was a test. It was a test. Because he was trying to see if I was nice enough to help this man who dropped his backpack. And it seems minute. And it was 2 seconds. And it was nothing, you know. But it was something. And it was powerful. That happened a few years ago. And I woke up to, you know, out of my out-of-body state. I woke up at home and I thought, wow, you know, it was so crazy how simple that test was. It was simple, and I didn't know I was being tested. It was my reaction, because that's who I am. If I was not a nice, helpful, friendly, holding the door person, I wouldn't pick that up for that kid, you know, that man or that young adult. I wouldn't have, because it's not in me to. You don't change who you are out there. And so it's important to know that you are you. What you feel within you is who you are. And if you have any bad deeds in you, you have to get rid of those. Honestly, if you want to, you got to realize that when you die, it's not over, and you're gonna keep experiencing hardships if you don't rise above. And that is our purpose, and that's what God wants for us. So the first dimension is a crazy place, and it's not something that I would wish upon anyone. However, I do know that people go there that are that just don't get it. You know, there's people here in this world that just don't get it. They'll say, you know, my childhood was bad, or feel sorry for me. Well, you know, you can feel sorry for people to an extent, but these people have to rise above it and realize that at this point in adulthood, what happened to them as a child is not who they are. You know, it was a lesson that has absorbed into them to the point where it's ruined them. And that's not how God intended for these lessons to be. However, if you're going to be in self-pity like that, then you're going to stay on this lower vibration. And you really don't want to be. And so I'll end this with telling you that when you travel, you will see this first dimension, okay? And it's common and it's just part of it. So when you're out there, you want to always think positive thoughts. Always think good things and always pray. And you'll get through that, okay? The reason why I don't suggest astral travel is because most people, you know, will have to deal with this level. And unless you're a thrill-seeking, adventurous, crazy type of soul, I don't see any fun in that. It's very, unless you're a trickster yourself and you're evil yourself, or you're, you know, if you're just not a right person yourself, then you might enjoy, you know, joining that bunch. But it's not for me, and so that's why I don't suggest astral travel, because you're going to see that regardless of who you are. You know, I keep my house pretty clean as far as I root out negative energy. You know, people come over and I might have something negative come in, or whatever the deal is. I will cleanse it and I will pray over it. So what I'm saying is, if you travel and you go out there, you're going to see all these things in your own living room unless you are properly capable of understanding the cleansing and the pureness that you need to have. So if you don't see it, it's only because you're very pure, and thank God for that. The first dimension is endless, as far as right and left, far and wide. Couldn't tell you how far it is. It feels like infinity. And to go any higher, you really need to go through a portal and transition yourself into something more pure. There is another world that I've seen that's much like ours that I'll get into later. There were some questions that I got on comments about something about parallel universes. That's been coming up a lot, and that's because there's been rise to certain situations that's happened with Mandela effect and things. I have a lot of questions that I need to learn about that. Do I think there could be a parallel universe? I think what is happening is possibly that their world is crossing with ours, and we're picking up on it more. You know, Wi-Fi. If you think about Wi-Fi, the government has used Wi-Fi for cellular connections. We have a lot of energy coming through our homes and through our atmosphere that we don't see. Okay, so souls are energy that travels so fast we can't see them. Wi-Fi is energy. It travels so fast we can't see them. You got souls and energy of Wi-Fi energy on the same vibration. Okay? They're both moving, same vibration. We just can't see them. So scientists have realized that if we speed something up to the point where eyesight can't see it, you got such a fast communication, it's not visible. This is, in my opinion, affecting the worldly transition from the parallels. So do I know this for sure? No. I think it's possible, yes. I mean, I definitely think it's possible. I feel like that's why people are awakening up to their spiritual side more, and that's kind of why I started these videos, because I think it's possible that our mind frequencies are speeding up, and if it does, if our mind frequencies speed up, it could open a part of our brain and our mind that wasn't necessarily open. So people that are psychics and mediums, you know, we already know this. But people that aren't, they don't. And you might be maybe thinking, you know, you have psychic abilities here and there, but you don't know. And how do you, this is opening up because our frequencies are getting intertwined. And so I do believe that there could be something going on with that right now. Do I know for sure? No, I don't. I can just tell you where I travel and what I do know, and that's all. But I'm going to go more into... Okay, we've covered the first dimension. I know not in very much detail, but I'm trying to explain to you what I know, and it's very detailed. And there's a lot of different situations I could tell you, but I don't want to talk about my situations more so than my experiences. Like, I would rather just tell you what I know. We'll get into the higher up, the other world I've seen, like ours. You know, I've been there a few times. I've also been to higher levels, you know, godlike levels. I've seen God himself. Jesus, he's protected me against demons. And I know it sounds crazy. I know. But it is what it is. It's the truth. And, you know, people would say a lot of things, you know, this girl's a witch. Well, no. If I was a witch, witchcraft, black magic works on this lower level. They work on it. They can give you illusion. They can cast a spell, and I do believe this, which I've never dabbled in it, but mind power is important. You communicate with your mind out there. So, yeah, if I wanted to focus and intrigue my mind with someone else's mind, is it possible that I can make them do what I want? Maybe. Maybe. And so casting a spell, you know, that's dabbling. And you're working on a first dimension level there. And I'm not okay with that. And if you're going to do something pure, you know, if you're going to pray, wish something good, or if you want something and you ask God, God, this is what I really want, can you give it to me? That's different. But you don't ever, ever dabble, because you will be paid back for that. God is not approving of that. And so you won't make it higher, and you will actually you'll reap what you sow. So if you go dabbling and stuff like that, you're going to have millions and thousands of more demon-like things around you, and they're going to prey on you, and they're going to absorb you, and that's not what you want. So, for now, we'll cover the first dimension. I don't like this dimension. I don't like this topic, but it is what it is. It's the truth, and it needs to be heard. And then we'll get into more of the good things, you know, to come, okay? So, thanks for watching.